Hello, Bruce Kittle here, coming at you with Hidden Pearls podcast with another Mindful Monday, Mindful Minute Monday, whichever. So all good. Anyway, I hope you're doing great. It's the Monday after Christmas and before the New Year's. So often a period of reflection for a lot of people, and that's very true for me. So I always try to kind of take this week to step back a little bit and take a look at things, but I get ahead of myself. Let's do a couple rings of the gong and a little bit of breath work, and then we'll come back for a quick message. So I'll just ring, and you kind of breathe and center to the extent you're able. If it's comfortable for you to close your eyes, feel free to do so. If you're driving or have some other activity, let's not do that. All right, here we go. So as you breathe in, fill those lungs nice and full. Hold for a count, and then exhale long and deep. With the inhale, alignment of the body, the mind, and the spirit through your breath work. Exhaling out all things you don't need or no longer serve you. All right, so again, welcome, and we'll let that chime just ring out, and you can kind of listen to that instead of me if you'd like, but it's all good. Today I want to talk to you about, again, this week. I grew up in Iowa, and this week was always filled with snow, and either there was no school when I was in school, no job when I had a job, and that kind of stuff, and so the earth would be blanketed, and there would be kind of a pause, and so I always try to take that to reconnect with family and friends, as well as just myself a little bit. So in our world, I've talked a little bit about here on the 8 C's of mindfulness, or the 8 tools. I won't repeat them all, but the last one kind of in our list is called collective reflection. And that's basically just looking back, and in an effort to continue our growth process, is look back and say, well, how did I handle that situation? Did that work for me? What was the lesson in all of this? And so just again, kind of reminder, I think this is a great week for that. If things have slowed down for you, if it hasn't, trying to find ways in which you might be able to do that. But again, some period of reflection to kind of look back on some of the major events of your life during the last year, maybe last 18 to 24 months with all the COVID and everything else that we've been dealing with. So, but anyway, just taking a look, checking in on what's working and what's not, what can I do a little bit better, or what do I want to improve on? So again, kind of thinking about that. In my process, I work with an author. Her name is Jamie Sam. She's Native American, and she's got several resources out there. One of the books is Earth Medicine. But anyway, in a reflection that was kind of prompted by some of her stuff, I was reflecting on kind of the great mirror, or the smoking mirror, or the reflection mirror, whatever you want to call it. And it kind of rung true for me again. And so I just want to maybe offer that up, is that really, we create our own kind of illusion of reality by the thoughts that we tell ourselves when we're not being mindful, and we kind of let those thoughts weave a story about who we are and what's happening to us and all that kind of stuff. So the thought of the mirror is that just beyond kind of the illusion that we've created is a reflection, and it is our true self, and kind of how others see us, and really what's going on. And so kind of part one of the assessment is to try to kind of get all the smoke out of the way and look clearly into that mirror and compare it with maybe the myth or the illusion that we've told ourselves over the last year or through our lifetime. Sometimes we cling to stories that we've told ourselves forever and ever, and we hang to them, and they end up defining us and sometimes limiting us, and all kinds of other stuff. And so just encouragement this week to maybe step back and think a little bit about, what is the myth that I've created, or what story have I spun about whatever, XYZ, things that maybe have upset us, pushed our buttons, maybe the things that we didn't want in life. and they happen to us anyway. And so just kind of thinking about what stories we've told, and then maybe backing up long enough to, again, reflect on how I responded. Is that what I want to do? Is it in alignment with my values? And then maybe most of all, what are the lessons here? What are the growth lessons for me personally in this, about how I responded and how these things kind of trip me up, and or kind of the illusions or myths or stories that I tell myself. So that's kind of the self-reflection kind of piece. The other part of the great mirror is that often, and I think you've probably heard this, is that at times what we see as behavior that we disapprove of, and so this is when we put our judging hats on, and again, mindfully, we're working not to judge others because everybody's on their own journey and we're all in this together, and we are more united than sometimes we think. And so the other part of the mirror is that when we experience behaviors in others that we personally kind of respond to, like that really is it irritating or annoying, the theory of the mirror is that life is reflecting back to you potentially one of your own shadows. And so if I find somebody that's super annoying, has really disturbed me in that, I'm trying to not put it onto them, and so I'm trying to be careful and live in alignment with my values as to how I want to relate to others, and not always successful. So just owning that right away. Certainly got all my own growing edges. And then looking at that and saying, okay, well, maybe what shadow side of myself have I maybe suppressed, ignored, or whatever that could be reflected in that behavior that I find so annoying? Because I think the shadow has a lot to teach us. And sometimes we run from the shadow, or we drown it with drugs or alcohol or other emotional kind of things and whatever. So we don't want to let the shadow necessarily take the wheel to our car and drive, because that's not always good. But we also need to hold some space, and we just can't kick the shadow out of the car either. So we got to allow the shadow to be in, hold some space, and invite them even to the table to have maybe a little deeper conversation. So that's the reflective mirror, or the smoking mirror, trying to get the smoke out of the way to see clearly about who we are and what stories we're telling ourselves, and how we can live in more full alignment with our true selves. And then secondly, not being put off by others so much, and being careful about how we respond, and moving away from judgment. And again, seeking the lesson about what might this be teaching me about myself, and maybe potentially opening doors for growth and learning through some of the shadows that we might be carrying that we're not even aware of. So a little bit to think about during this kind of in-between week, the week in between the years and the seasons. So I hope you have a joyous, happy holiday with your family, friends, however you define that, and whoever you're with. I hope you're safe, and you're taking whatever precautions you need in order to feel safe in those kind of ways. And wishing you a very, very happy new year from all of us here at Hidden Pearls Podcast and the Mindful Monday. So we're wishing you the very best. And again, don't forget, you can always hit your own chime, take a few breaths, and slow down just a little bit to regain your mindfulness in those moments when it's really tough. Because trust me, we're all in that together. All right, take care. Many blessings.